So basically, in a nutshell, what I believe I have is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma with diffuse large B cell with some follicular cells, and it was in my bone marrow. First day that I actually entered the cancer center, I was terrified. I didn't know what to expect. Right from the patient registration, they got to know me, and before long they knew my name. They would ask me how I was doing. They seemed to care right from the very beginning, from my walking in the door. And then I would go up and I'd go for the volunteers. They would take some time with me. They told me that sometimes I would have to wait, but that was okay because it meant that the doctors were giving patients the time that they needed, and they would also give me that time, and that was comforting to me and helped me with the wait too, if there was a wait. When I would have blood work, they would sit down, or I would have to wait for the blood work, and that's just reality, right? You come in and you wait, and then I would sit down and they would talk to me. They'd ask me my name, they'd talk about the weather, they'd make small talk with me to help to put me at ease having the blood work done, which was not always an easy thing to do, especially if they couldn't find the right vein to do it. And then there were times when I would come in and I would get weighed, and the nurse that weighed me, she always talked to me and she smiled, and we'd giggle about taking my weight because I never enjoyed that part. And then I would go in and I would meet with when the nurse would come in, she would sit down with me. And what I really appreciated was that both she and the oncologist would take the stool, would sit down and roll it over to me so that they were beside me, they were at eye level. And it really made me feel like they were a partner with me, not that they were the ones that were telling me everything, that we were in this together, and that always felt very comforting. And then my oncologist, he always had this reassuring voice, and he would chit-chat with my husband, and which made my husband very comfortable and confident too, as well with the treatment, and he was always so reassuring. I always left there feeling like I was hopeful. But before I forget, the one thing that I really appreciated was that I always got this feeling that he had more information that he could have shared and didn't share. But it was like he knew how to explain just enough, exactly what I needed to hear and how much I could handle at the time. And then if I had questions, he would take the time and he'd answer my questions. And the next time I'd be in, I'd have more questions, and he'd take the time for that. It didn't matter what I needed, he was there for me. And I think that goes a long way in terms of my confidence in the process, and it helped me get through it. I think that the most challenging part to my experience was transitioning from the cancer center into the hospital for different treatments and tests and that kind of thing. It was... you were sent into an area where they were busy and they were seeing a lot of patients go through. I didn't know where to go, and that, sometimes I didn't always feel like the person. I felt like I was another person to get through. And it was a distinct difference for me moving from the cancer center into the hospitals. That whole transition piece was a bit challenging sometimes. And I think probably to trust the oncology team. We have a really dedicated group of people here who are knowledgeable, who care, who are willing to take the time to answer questions. And I also think they have a sense for what they're putting us through, which makes a difference. I also think it's really important to ask questions and to never be afraid to ask questions. And if you don't have the answer that you're looking for, making sure that you get the answer, even if it means having someone else explain it in a different way. Because I think if you trust in the process, you have confidence, you understand, it goes a long way in getting you through the process. And overall, I would say the Cancer Center is my safe place. And 10 years later, I still feel safe here. And I think that's probably why I keep coming back and I volunteer, because I feel good when I'm here.